Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What Drives Us. In case this episode does have a number, it's episode 211 for December 28th, 2016. The most awful year ever since years were invented. Luckily, to share to make my painful life a little less painful, I have two wonderful people with me. And maybe a third. We're hoping that Patrick Connor is going to join us. He's trying. He's fighting some technical difficulties. I think that like Anonymous is fighting against him or something. Sure, they seem to be waging an epic struggle. But let me introduce, please, the people that are with us right now. My co-host, who has sort of stepped in when Danny Cooper is away, and our man in Illinois, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hi, everybody. 2016, give a shout out. You suck. However, I will say that 2016 has only been slightly better than the 1340s when the bubonic plague killed millions of people, estimated 25 million people. So it is a high watermark to reach, but I think 2016 is going to do everything it can in the last 3 days to reach that limit.
I mean, come on, Carrie and Debbie?
Yeah, that's the thing. Right before going live, we just learned that Debbie Reynolds has passed away a day or two after her daughter, Carrie. So
that's like not even... If you wrote that as a script, people would be like, "Get out!"
Right.
But enough of that. Let me introduce the gentleman in the green. He is our man in the Chevy Volt. We are proud to call him Mark Coughlin. And with that, Mark was gone. Mark,
too.
Oh no!
Oh man!
There he is.
Hey, you're back.
He's back.
Can you hear
Patrick!
me?
Patrick's there too.
All right.
Oh, I'm going to celebrate. Well, Patrick, I'll be with you in just a second. Mr. Mark Coughlin, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hopefully, it's better than what 2016, the end of 2016's been. It's been terrible.
Yeah.
But we'll endeavor to push on.
And joining us at the last minute after, as I said, fighting an epic struggle with hardware and software and forces of darkness, our man in Oregon, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello from Oregon, where if you want to launch a lantern, one of those fire lanterns, you better do it before the next year, because then they're illegal in 2017.
Wow.
Too many forest fires, right?
That's right, yep. They have been illegal during fire season, but now they're going to be just illegal all year round.
I can't imagine why sending a flaming thing up into the sky with no controls, why that would be illegal. It just seems like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would look great in Tangled. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I just want to, I don't normally do a lot of drinking on the show, but I got to tell you, 2016's kind of got me down a little bit. And this noise.
That's a good noise right there.
That's what a wild turkey sounds like, huh?
Right.
That is exactly what a wild turkey sounds like, sir. And
what have you got there, Patrick? Patrick has his own turkey.
Cheers to everyone, all of our viewers, all of our listeners. Cheers to those of us that have survived a fucking ugly year.
I'm already empty.
Our last episode of 2016. And goodbye.
Good riddance.
Oh my, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a horrible cold. I'm sick as a dog. And
that's a good antiseptic there. It'll help you out.
Yeah, given the fatalities that have been people have been dropping like flies, I may die during this episode. I'm hoping this is going to get some viewers. We'll start some little like, dude said he might die during the show.
And since Russell has the on-off button, if he goes, this will be the longest show ever.
Exactly. You're going to look at my rotting corpse for the next 2 weeks, okay? Till my dogs eat me or something. So we have a really good show tonight. Being the last show of the year, I had pulled a thing off of an unnamed website and top 10 news stories, and it was like, whatever, I wasn't that great. And part of that was that. And of course, Patrick, who curates our news on the Twitter feed and on Facebook, and also curates the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association news, is a master at gathering news, and came up with a better top list of 2016 news. So that's our first story. Patrick, take it away, sir.
Well, you did give it a nice introduction, but it's not that I found a better one. I wrote it.
Even better.
I love. You're going to polish your own helmet there, okay, buddy? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll go through the list. You guys can tell me if you think I am close or not on what the most important things of 2016 were in the alt car world. Number 1, the Chevy Bolt. Definitely a huge deal with 200 miles of range, less than $40,000. This is what plug-in cars need to become mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Should I wait? Do you want to comment on each one, or should we just go down the list? What do you want?
Let's comment on each one. I honestly don't think that it should be number 1.
Really?
I think it's a huge story, but I think that's easily 4, 5, 6.
See,
I'm going to wait to hear the other 9 before I make my judgment on that.
I actually like your 1 and 2, and I like the order of the 1 and 2. So I'll let you do 2, and then
I would actually put the next one in number 1.
Okay, so Mark, do you want to say anything about the Chevy Bolt? You're our Chevy guy.
Yeah.
I would say it was a big story. I would certainly say that it's probably in the right position.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So number 2 on the list is the Tesla Model 3. They had their reveal event, and reservations went crazy. The reason this wasn't number 1 is they're not shipping a car yet. We all know, obviously, Tesla's doing a whole lot more than just taking reservations. They're really actively working on it. Mm-hmm. But the Bolt is a shipping product, and you have to respect that as being more important. But the Tesla event, that changed the entire outlook that the auto industry had on electric cars. All of a sudden, instead of just there's a few of us who want them, they saw that they had almost 400,000 reservations. And I think it was a big wake-up call for everybody in the industry.
Exactly. And that's why I agree with you 100%. Why the Bolt, in my mind, is number 1 of 2016, and the Model 3 is number 2. Both of them could potentially send shockwaves through the entire automotive industry. And the tiebreaker for me is the fact that we know of at least 3 people who have Bolts in their driveways right now.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about them last week. We know personally,
right?
But there are.
Tony knows them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know them. I thought, well, who got a Bolt?
I drove out to California, hung out with them for Christmas. I don't want to
minimize anything about the Bolt's importance, but I do think the seismic impact that the Tesla Model 3 reservations had, which we really don't know. We don't know. But as we said, the day when we were doing this event, I bet there was some really good conversations in a lot of boardrooms the following day, because 375,000 people coughed up $1,000 for a car they wouldn't see for 2 or 3 years.
Right. Now, see, there's the difference. There were a lot of very pointed conversations. And since that happened, since the, the announcement, the rollout, whatever, the unveiling, we have seen almost every auto manufacturer produce some form of vaporware and talk about being available by 2020 or 2025. But to me, that's why the Bolt is number 1. The Bolt was available in 2016, which means they were working on this before the Model 3 was ever rolled out. Not rolled out, but unveiled. And
in my mind, it's because of how they timed it. They said it was going to take a year, and it took a year. They said it was going to go to production. They said it would take a year, and they lived up to the promise and delivered. Now, they may not have delivered in a lot of volume, but from what I see being shipped across on the internet and on cars and trains, they are on their way.
And these, we don't have to argue about which one's more important. They both really matter. They're both on the list. There's market enough for both of them. So yeah, it's not a zero-sum game.
True.
Right.
Oh, quit with your highfalutin bulging forehead crap, okay? It's not a zero-sum game. It is.
Either you bought this one or that one.
I'm a little contentious right now.
Dude, you did one shot like 3 minutes ago. It hasn't even absorbed yet.
Patrick.
Needs to do a shot. That brings us to number 3 on the list. President-elect Donald Trump.
Drink.
Big drink. Thank you.
Boo.
Yeah, so love him or hate him, he's going to have a big impact on the future adoption rate of electric vehicles. And he did ask Donald Trump to come to his high-tech leaders summit that they had. So maybe
Elon Musk. Yeah.
Elon Musk. Whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He did ask Elon Musk to come to that meeting, and so there's a chance it's not going to be all horrible. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
I think that's the most positive thing you can say is we will see.
In my take, it's not just Donald Trump, but it is also is it Secretary of State, the dude, the Exxon guy?
Yep.
Rex Tillerson. Yeah.
And the EPA guy is the same guy who sued to have the EPA dismantled.
I'm sorry.
3 times.
Rick, almost retarded Perry, Secretary of Energy.
No. Oh, yeah, and Rick Perry's the Secretary of Energy. No, the dude in charge of the EPA, was he from North Dakota? Was somewhere, I think of that area.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
But yeah, he literally
Oklahoma.
Yeah, he literally sued like to have the EPA disbanded.
Yeah.
3 separate times.
3 times. And now he's in charge of the EPA. So
Here's the thing with Trump. It's a kind of a mystery, like the Model 3. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen yet. But I'm here to tell you, 2017 is going to be ugly for a lot of issues. And one of those issues is going to be any kind of subsidy for any kind of electric car, any kind of sustainable energy, any kind of mass transit. All that stuff's going to just vaporize.
I mean, the stuff that we get together to talk about on a weekly basis, the stuff that we research, the stuff that we, cheer as it's going on. Oh yeah, as a white employed with health care closeted white man, I feel that I'm relatively
You're closeted. You want to come out? It's okay.
No, I'm fine. I like it where I am.
I'll give you a hug.
I'm not going to be harmed by a lot of these things, but I am going to be severely bothered by a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Take it away, Patrick.
Yeah,
All
sorry,
right.
Patrick.
Number 4, Dieselgate. So in the wake of Dieselgate, VW has really changed their direction. Just like we mentioned above, a lot of automakers are making proclamations for what they're going to do in 2018, 2020. And Volkswagen is on that list too. And they're rolling out massive EV infrastructure campaigns, and they're promising it to have, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what they said, a 370-mile EV in 2020 at the price of the diesel Golf today. So we'll see what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But Dieselgate definitely rocked the industry in 2016.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Number 5 on my list is Tesla Superchargers. Their network grew dramatically in 2016. At one point, they installed 7 supercharger locations in 7 days in 7 cities. So I'm sure a lot of that was just some timing or whatever, but they certainly are rolling them out fast and furious. And recently, Elon tweeted that they're going to have a V3 supercharger that will make the existing ones look like children's toys. So we'll see if they can deliver that next year. That will be pretty cool.
Which, if I was a Tesla stockholder, would make me wonder why I've spent millions of dollars deploying children's toys. But I get his point, right? Things get better. It's a new version. It's going to be awesome, and I get that. That's cool. I think this is less important than the following number,
Okay,
which
taking
is
it to number
hugely
6.
important this year. Yes, sir.
Autonomous driving. And we have an article later in the show on this topic. There have been a lot of strides made in autonomous driving. In 2015, people were saying it was 20 or 30 years away. Now in 2016, they were saying, oh, it's just 5 years away. It's funny how the time warps there. And there are all kinds of companies that are working on this. Google has their stuff. They've rolled out their new company. What is it called? Wamyo, however you say it. And we've got Tesla, of course, doing their thing, and Delphi and Bosch and Intel and Uber and Comma and Apple. A whole lot of people working on this technology. So it's out there on the road in some limited form, level 3, level 4. We talked about that on this show quite a bit. And a big new thing in 2016. See it actually getting some miles out there.
Right. And even the way I see it, as we've said, even if not, what falls under, complete autonomous driving, we are seeing a lot more automatic safety features being implemented in cars. The pedestrian, the, lane keep assist, the automatic braking, that kind of stuff, which we know eventually lead into autonomous.
Right, and any of that will save some lives, which is a big positive.
Yeah,
I think that's why this is important. We're making huge strides in vehicle safety. Let's eliminate autonomous driving for a second. We are making huge strides in vehicle safety. And if we deploy these features responsibly and under the rubric of vehicle safety, I think we will all benefit from it. We will save a lot of lives, and driving will be safer. We'll save a lot of property too. Insurance companies got to be doing a little happy dance. I think this is a huge, huge thing. I think the problem with this is we're too much on the I want a self-driving car and not on the safety features aspect of what this technology brings. I think this technology is still a little young yet to be talking about, my car's going to drive me to work, or it's going to pick me up from across the country, and I'm going to run into Uber, and it's going to go around by itself, and it's going to, maybe it will. I'm not saying it doesn't, and I certainly would love it if it did. That'd be cool as hell. I have a lot of questions about, it's that last 2%, right? Is it 1%, Patrick?
They're both hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's the last 2% that's going to really make the difference, and that's what's going to get the news. That's going to be the guy watching the Harry Potter videos and gets killed, or doing something dumb, or just something they never expected, like sunlight and a white truck and something else, and it was snowing and a deer ran by. You know what I mean? Like, that'll happen. So anyway, yeah, that was my little rant on that. But very, very important story this year.
Yep. Moving on to number 7, the EV startup frenzy. So there have been a whole lot of EV startups coming out of the woodwork. And I found an article that said that $1.9 billion was invested into EV startup companies in 2016. That was more than double the amount from 2015 and 6 times the level of investment from 2014. I've made the analogy that Tesla broke the 4-minute mile barrier, and once it was thought to be impossible, but then once they did it, it's like, oh yeah, that's doable. Why aren't we doing that? And a whole lot of companies are now trying it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And a number of those companies won't break that 4-minute mile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of them are dead already.
Right.
Yep.
Some of them are back from the dead, Fisker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, but in a sense, though, that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, sure, why not? I don't even know why, to be honest with you. I mean, it's Karma Automotive now, right?
So that's who they sold it to. His new company, I thought, was Fisker Inc. again.
They took Fisker name
Fisker
again.
Motors. Right. So it was Fisker Motors the first time, which is now Karma, and his new company that he's at the helm of is Fisker Inc.
Yeah. Oh, and that's going to do really well too. I feel no.
What could possibly go wrong?
Do not send money to Henrik Fisker. Whatever you do not send money.
Yeah.
All you angel investors out there, Russell's got some advice
Yeah,
for you.
no. Hey, good luck. It's your money. Piss it away. I could care less.
You know, they could have taken that 1.9 billion invested in EV startups and just like given a tenth of that to me. You
And
wouldn't
Tony
get
would
anything
not
from
squander
it,
it at all.
right at all. Yeah.
I can do press releases. I can make promises on Twitter. I can do all that.
That's about all Faraday Future's good at. So, hey, cheers to them with their 1,000 employees and engineers.
All right, moving on to number 8. Toyota's about face on EVs. You guys covered this one last week on the show, and thank you for discussing that. It's a big deal. They're a bellwether of the industry, and their change in direction here could be really important to the whole industry.
If they mean it.
If they mean it, right?
Yeah.
If they're just not doing press releases and promises and
Yeah. Still late to the party.
yeah. 2020.
I am interested to see what those plug-in Prius numbers are going to be this December, though. That'll be interesting to see.
On the Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It will be.
they've got a decent entry into the market, but they're behind. They're really behind, and I think that's the thing that they're going to be chasing people. You know.
Yeah. I didn't put Prime on the list, but if anything, it would roll into this because now they're going to expand on what they have there. And
Absolutely. And Patrick, I think this is huge also because, again, as you said, they're a bellwether, but they're the only other major car company that said, hey, you know what? Maybe these electric vehicle things are good. Ford has said, nah, electric vehicles are stupid. Their CEO, GM's already in, obviously.
right.
Daimler is still making muscle cars.
They got the Pacifica.
The hybrid Pacifica plug-in, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do, but still mostly muscle cars. I mean, they have a 500e that they don't even bother to try and push, and supposedly, according to our own Paul Guzik, the 500e is one of the funnest EVs to drive.
Is Fiat under the Daimler umbrella?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's the F in FCA, Fiat Chrysler assholes.
I think so.
America, I think.
Yeah. Right. That's why they abbreviate it.
I forget. Yeah, it may be. But yeah, Fiat's the F in FCA.
Okay.
I do think this is huge, and again, it's also huge because we haven't heard that from Ford. We haven't heard that from FCA. We've heard some rumblings from BMW and from Daimler. Volkswagen's talked a big game, but we've smelled their bullshit before. So,
You don't believe them?
The question,
The word's no good with you? Why not?
I
can't
don't
imagine.
believe Toyota. I want to see them. I need to see them do something. I want to believe them. I want to see them. I want to see them be successful with EVs. So that's all. Sorry. Thanks, Patrick.
I just had a little vision of the "I want to believe" poster, but instead of a flying saucer, it's a Prius, and you're wearing this T-shirt.
I'm just looking up at the sky. The truth is out there. I really need to drink more during the show.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I got us way off track there. I had to share that. Okay, number 9.
That's good.
EV sales hit 1% of the market. So 1% is still really small, but it's a milestone that we've crossed. And also, in 2016, we crossed over 500,000 vehicles on the road that have plugs. So 500,000 plug-in cars, 1% of new car sales. This is right on track for the predictions of having 1 million by 2018. So it's a good thing that EV sales continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
And next year the Bolts will have a full year out there. And if Tesla delivers, they're going to have at least a few Model 3s out there. So next year looks like it'll be another bigger year. And that's great.
Yes. I supposed to encourage you more, Patrick? I'm sorry. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
just, yeah.
No, I mean, I would never have thought to.
No, that was horrible. I was waiting.
I would never have thought to put this on the list, but I think it's really, I think it's a, what do I say, a testament to your insight that you did, because it is important and it is a milestone, and it's 1% and it's tiny, but it's still the kind of thing that naysayers, even up until right now, said, no, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah, if they're saying you're 0.2%, which it was at one point, now it's actually an entire whole digit. Yay!
Yay!
We got out of the fractions.
Yeah.
Wait, it's still a percent. A percent is a fraction. Shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the lowest integer, but it's an integer.
Okay, and last on my list is electric haulers, garbage, people, and hay bales. So there's several companies that have been working on electric buses, and we have a lot of buses in Portland. I lived downtown for several years, and they're stinky. Even though it's if they're full per capita, that's not bad emissions. An electric bus would still be a whole lot better. So I'm really happy to see these projects rolling out, and I hope that we all get some in our neighborhoods soon.
Yep, like the one that we talked about a couple weeks ago in Montreal. So they're starting to make some headway.
Right.
Again, a credit to you that you included this. I think the one thing you forgot is the potential seismic change that we are about to see. Do you know what one of the most common jobs in most of the United States is?
No, what?
Anybody want to guess?
No.
Truck
Are
driver.
we going back to autonomous vehicles? Because then I would say truck driver.
We're gonna go there, right? Sustainable, energy-driven autonomous trucks are going to disrupt the market in a way that we haven't seen in a long, long time. Like maybe since the beginning of the last century. We're going to see a lot of people put out of work. We're going to see a lot of things get cheaper and easier in some ways. It's going to be a very interesting transition. What potentially these electric haulers can do, especially without a human driving them.
Yep, that certainly would make it a big change.
Huge. I think this is a brilliant inclusion that you did, and that you forgot that little thing or didn't put that in there. Whatever, no big deal. But thank you.
So, like you said, that last 2% to make them fully autonomous, with no persons required even to be there babysitting it, is still a couple years off, at least.
It is, but I think the challenge to making a point-to-point truck driver, a truck autonomous versus a personal vehicle, I think the challenge is easier. I think that last 2% is going to be more simple for a truck than it will be for my personal runabout. Does that make sense?
Right. It'll be on a fixed route, and yeah. You could even have very specific spots where it pulls over for a person to get in to drive the complicated areas.
Exactly. You can orchestrate it so much better because you know where it's going. You know exactly where it starts and where its destination is.
Yeah, because you're designing the route.
Right. So again, potentially this is going to be a huge disruptor. Economically, we're going to see a lot of people out of work that have been used to making good money. It's going to be very interesting to see how we kind of deal with this as a country.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've talked about autonomous trucks, and one of the things, and I still kind of stand by this, is I think the big benefit to autonomous trucking is the number of hours they put on the interstates. I mean, these guys will drive 500, these people, not just guys, men and women, will drive 500, 750 miles a day staring at white and yellow lines on the interstates. And, automate that, or just automate that. Let them take a nap. I mean, literally let them just do something other than focus on the highway for 8 hours a day. And then as you enter a complicated area, they take control and they drive in the cities. Yeah.
Could be. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good point, Tony.
That's my list. That concludes it.
I think it's a great list. Well done.
Nicely done, Patrick. Nicely
And I don't
done.
think we gave you proper credit. It is on carswithcords.net. You can find it there.
Thank you, Tony.
And there will be a link at whatdrives.us when in the show notes, which, by the way, Danny Cooper, thank you, Danny, fixed the site. He sent me a little note. And so the last week's episode and this week's episode will be there with all of the news links. For our next news story, let's go to Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Yeah, so I found this. Stephen Edelstein wrote this on Green Car Reports December 27th, yesterday. And it's an article about MPG ratings, or in EU, it's liters per 100 kilometers or whatever. But I'm just going to go with MPG because it's something that we Americans know. And for the rest of you, you'll have to do the conversion. Sorry about that.
I think they purposely have them different just so we can't directly compare. Because if we could,
Right.
you look at those European numbers are crazy.
Yeah,
Change the units around. The Americans will never know.
exactly. Yeah.
But the Canadians will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so for the 3 countries that still use imperial measurements, I forgot what, it's us and some other podunk countries. But so the thing is, the title here is EU fuel economy ratings move further from reality. And Mercedes is the top offender. So this article was interesting. I had no idea this was really going on, especially, in Europe, because here in the US, we had talked about, I think Honda was getting in trouble for people not reaching the MPG ratings that the car was supposed to. God, I'm drawing a blank now that I have to think about it. There's been a couple of car manufacturers who had to come out and then do adjustments. Did Hyundai have to do major adjustments?
Honda.
Yeah.
Ford had to send people checks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, the Ford thing. Well, that was over 5%, 10% maybe. But this article says that some of the Mercedes cars will be up into the 50%. So the fuel economy rating is as much as 50% overstated based on compared to what people are going to get in real world. In real world driving.
Wow.
And can we say, without blunting the importance of this article, that this goes back to people driving and that being the huge factor involved in MPG? The biggest factor is how people drive.
Well, I think there is that. The
American standards are much more rigorous, I think, and take more of that into account in a sense because they're more rigorous, because the tests are tougher. No?
I think if you can get the outliers, but I do think that what is promoted, what is printed on the side of the car, what's on the sticker should represent the bulk of what people should expect. Some will get higher, some will get lower, but this is what you should expect. But
Right.
if it
It
is
shouldn't have to be a
consistently
hypermile
that
or-
far, right?
I know that here in Canada, recently, halfway through the year, they had to change the miles per gallon, or in our case, liters per 100 kilometers, on the TV commercials to be more closely matched to what the real driving scenario is. So there was a shift. All automakers had to make that change immediately, and you saw that the commercials were now reflecting higher values, which were a surprise to some, since they were padded, in fact, before.
See,
Right.
and
Higher values would be less efficient in that metric, right?
Correct.
Yeah, right.
yeah, and so a lot of this, I was reading through the comments at the bottom, and it brings up the question, in this case. So it's one thing to say that Volkswagen was saying this, and then that was proven to be a lie, and that was the company, and it was the same test being used on all cars, and so to sort of Russell's point, it becomes a question of where is the failure. If you wish to bring the testing and the EPA ratings, or whatever they do, in line with what people are going to see in the real world, it would seem that your test is most likely flawed. And this is what one person in the comments had mentioned, and they were talking about the NEDC, which I had to look up, and now I forgot what it was. The new European, I forgot. It's their testing, their testing cycle.
Drive cycle?
Drive cycle. It could be the new European drive cycle. And somebody had said that they are allowed to remove side mirrors, tape over the door seams.
Right.
They use treadless tires pumped to 50 psi. They tape over the grills, the wheel covers, the underbody plastic. The transmission software and engine mapping that they use is completely unrealistic.
Because that's what all Europeans do after they purchase a car anyway.
Right. Is take off the side mirrors and tape it up.
Right. And so that, I mean, that right there is one thing. And the question even came up, and he mentioned this in the comments, Stephen did, that, or in the article, that perhaps one of the things they could do, and I don't know how difficult this would be to actually test a car actually driving. So you randomly pull a car off the lot. The EPA or whatever it is in EU, in this case, in the US, it'd be the EPA, just goes off, grabs a car and says, this is the car we're going to test. They get the keys, they drive it off the lot. No one is allowed to manipulate it. And they somehow hook it up to a mobile testing lab, and they drive the car, a full tank of gas, in the city, in the highway. They do whatever, and whatever they get is what they get.
Well, that's exactly how the Dieselgate case was busted, right? It was a university that did exactly what you're saying. They tested a car and said, wow, this is nowhere near what they said it should be. 6 times higher in some cases.
Right. Yeah.
Here's the thing that I think the tests don't take into account. And here's the hard part, because what we need is a benchmark. We need to know, is car A more efficient or car B more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. As long as those tests are fair and honest for each one, relative to each car, we can make an informed decision as a buyer. We can go, oh, I want a car that gets better gas mileage. I want this car. The problem is, and I've just made this observation living where I am in a state that shall go nameless at this point.
Florida.
People drive like
Now he can't be as honest as he was going to be.
People in Florida drive like freaking assholes. I mean, the drive, it's like, it is literally sprint to one light. You see this over and over again, just horrible, horrible driving habits. Part of that is encouraged by cheap gas, which we're still enjoying, even though gas has gone up 50 cents a gallon. Remember when that was national news? Now gas at $2.25 a gallon here, that's 50 cents higher than it was just a month or two ago. No one cares. No one gives a shit. Anyway, driving. It's the driving that people drive horribly with no concern over the cost of the fuel that they're putting in the vehicle.
I agree with you, but I think these are orthogonal issues. Yes, people drive horrible. I'm not going to defend that at all. But this test has to give you some idea of a realistic, if all those things that were mentioned about taping up the grills, taking off side mirrors, that's ridiculous. There's no way that should be allowed. The test should reflect some real world driving.
Well, and we just elected a president who thinks self-regulation is the only kind of regulation that should exist. So do you think we're going to get more of that or less of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We still have states. Come on, states. Save us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's going to happen. How many state legislatures are... no.
We've got a few.
Ain't going to happen. No, the future is not so bright. You can take off those sunglasses now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Yeah, no, there's no real closure to this. I found this article and I was reading it, and I had never heard this before. I had no idea how far off they were. And the first thing that ran through my mind was, wow, people here in the US have a holy conniption if they're, if they average 5% below the rating. And apparently in Europe, you just don't even look at it because you have no idea.
Right. And that's not good. It needs to be realistic at some level. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Coughlin, I think you have some exciting video to show us.
Yes. Just recently, Tesla has come out with not Tesla, but the owner of a Tesla car in Europe had a near crash experience that turned out quite happy. So we'll just play the video here.
Oh, I'm driving.
Driving on the interstate. And
Yo.
Now, what was fantastic about this is that the Tesla car, using the radar and systems it has for detection, was able to detect the car in front of the car that was in front of it was going to have a crash or anticipated a crash, and therefore triggered the safety system of braking in the Tesla. So really, it alerted the owner, and there goes the owner actually to help, but it alerted the owner before the owner knew about it that there was something that was about to possibly happen, and in this case, definitely did happen.
Wow.
So it was an interesting prompt that the driver got without even knowing. The car applied the brakes first, then the driver was aware something was going on. So that fraction of a second certainly can avoid crashes. It can save lives. And I applaud that type of system. And hopefully, as time goes along, these type of systems will be introduced to more and more vehicles.
Right.
Yeah,
But could have been a 3-car pileup turned into just 2 cars having in the crash.
Correct. So it's impressive. Tesla got some bad press about a death that happened, but there are countless items like this that are happening every day, and kudos to them for their system to be able to work and get better. And as Russell had mentioned in a previous conversation, it's just going to get better. They will be able to figure out why things didn't go the way they thought they would and improve on those items and make the next iteration even better.
The one thing I noticed watching that video time and time again is the little red car, the car in front that ends up rear-ending the SUV. The car was starting to change over to the right lane. And I'll tell you, and the one thing that bothers me the most, and I've always hated this when driving, is doing a physical check over your shoulder. And it literally looked to me, it really looked to me as though the car was changing lanes, maybe could have done a check over the right shoulder to see how far, the car getting over. And in that split second, the car in front of the SUV applied the brakes, which caused the SUV to brake, which caused that car, who perhaps wasn't looking forward because he was checking his blind spot, to rear-end it. I mean, it just seemed like a really bad situation.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that. Well, here's a question: does anyone have a car currently that will apply the brakes for you if they see braking happening in front of you that the human didn't notice?
Are you trying to out me here? So
I'm not, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, Paul mentioned on the show last week, I now have a Tesla. Yay!
Yeah.
And this was in a Tesla Model X, which is now what I'm driving. And I've actually this has a collision warning. It has a sensitivity setting you can have on it. And when I got the car, I'm like, well, why not have it at maximum? Because I want to know if there's going to be a collision. Mm-hmm. And then I've got 2 false positives on it. And a false positive is not that bad. It alerts you and it slows down a little bit, and you go, no, stupid, keep going, and you're fine. A false positive now and then, but I've turned it back to normal since then. One of them was on the side street. It was curving, and so as it turned to the left, I was pointed at a parked car, and I was going to turn to not hit it, but I was headed at it because that's the way the road went, and it said, oh, you're going to hit a car. And then it did the same thing with the pedestrian. The road turned left. The pedestrian was crossing the intersection parallel with me. And as I came to the turn, it said, "You're pointing at a pedestrian." I got the little pedestrian icon, and it hit the brakes and alerted, and then I kept following the road, and things were fine. And in neither of these cases did I even have autopilot on. So it was just, it detected that I might be heading, I was heading right at something that it didn't want me to hit. It just didn't know that in both cases I was going to turn before it because the road turned.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was given a car when I was in Los Angeles this past summer or spring, and that car had the detection on it as well. So the car would, instead of apply brakes, it would flash and beep at me from the dash to let me know that I was approaching something that was too quickly, or I was approaching something that was stopped. And it worked. You know, it came on a couple times. So it wasn't really false positives, but it was interesting to see that it caught my attention. Maybe I am going a little too quickly. Maybe I am braking a little bit more aggressively than I should be in a normal situation. But it caught my attention.
Which is good, right? Is
Yeah.
there? I mean, even if it's a false positive, it's still better. You know, I mean, it's going to have to err in that direction.
Right.
Yeah. So on the dashboard, Patrick, what does it say? Wake up.
Just like Tom Peterson used to.
Mm-hmm.
You guys won't get that unless you're a local Oregonian.
I was the bass player for
Yep.
Cheap Trick. I thought, wow, Tom Peterson, dude.
So he's a Portland icon, and he used to do these commercials that were on late night TV, and they would start with "Wake up, wake up," and then he would tell you about his great furniture sales. So yeah,
Nice.
yep.
Nice. Well, real quickly, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention that were worth mentioning. ABC 10 News in Los Angeles reported that Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E as they're known to the denizens of SoCal, has actually got approval from the California Public Utilities Commission to bring 7,500 electric vehicle stations, electric charging vehicle stations to California. That's a big deal. I don't know that Southern California, or I shouldn't say Southern California, was deficient in charging stations, but I've also heard that the only place that I've heard where there's congestion is in California. So I think this is a win-win. Our own Chelsea Sexton might disagree with me. I know she's always been very conscious of over deploying charging stations, but I think at this point, it's probably a good move.
I hope that this will help, possibly with the hopefully flood of EVs with the Bolts and the Model 3s that will be coming out. I didn't see, was there a mention of whether they would be proprietary to one plug or another?
I didn't notice that in the article.
Yeah,
it was more
trying to
just
find
like,
that out
hey,
too.
kids, electric vehicle charging. Ooh, that's cool.
I think that they might not even have the plug. It could just be bare wires that you just hold up to your car.
Right. It could just be pieces of coal that you rub on the
Right.
So my
That's
guess
what he
is that
said.
these are going to be dual-headed CHAdeMO CCS. There's
Whatever you say.
Yeah. There's no reason they should be level 2. They have to be DC fast charge.
Yeah, I would say we're getting to that point that stop looking back and let's just prepare for the future.
Right. Right.
Although, I mean, this is good. I'm glad they're deploying it, but it was initially 25,000 charging stations that they were going to put out, and then they've scaled it back to 7,500. And I thought part of this money came from a settlement from way back in the Enron, that PG&E acquired part of Enron, and this was a settlement for part of that debacle from a decade ago or however long it was. And that they're scaling it back, and it's going to be stations that you have to pay for. I don't see that as a very, I don't know, it seems very self-serving. If it's supposed to be in payment.
I guess. I mean, then again, I think just increasing the infrastructure for electric vehicles makes the argument for electric vehicles more strong.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly geologically closer to it than we are, Patrick. I mean, you know a lot more about this.
I don't have a dog in this fight. That's Southern California. It's,
Yeah.
Those,
it just doesn't. There's still something about it that smells funny.
Yeah, I mean,
those
there was the mention down toward the bottom. Funding the project will add about 22 cents per month to customers' bills.
Oh my God.
So apparently, yeah, everybody's paying for this.
22 cents?
Yeah,
That's almost a quarter, Tony.
I know.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I mean, but
88 cents was too much. That's what it would have been for 2,500. 25,000. Sorry.
They'll never notice 22 cents. That's what we'll do.
so
Right.
it does raise the question: if it's 22 cents to fund the project of installing these, once they're installed, does the 22 cents go away?
Those charges never go away. Like bridge.
I know those charges never go away, and if you use them, I'm guessing you might have to pay for them, and the 22 cents never goes away.
Similar to how the insurance companies, of course, will roll back their premiums, or if cars become more safer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yes,
expect your insurance just to plummet to almost nothing.
yes.
You're just going to send them 22 cents, I think, in fact.
Yeah.
Well, can I mention something?
Anti-capitalism? Jeez.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I know somebody that could really use a quarter right now. And they're a little company based in Los Angeles, sort of, doing business, potentially building their product in Las Vegas, sort of, supposedly rolling out their first production vehicle.
Whatever.
I have to share this with you, viewers. If you're not viewing this, I'm sorry you won't see it. And I'm really not a big Jalopnik fan, and this is a horrible illustration, but it is so appropriate. Faraday Future is going down, kids. It's going down hard. Jalopnik had a really interesting article about how bad their finances are now. Am I supposed to believe what's in this Jalopnik article? Well, I'm supposed to.
Mhm.
And for the purposes of this story, I'm going to, but yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Needless to say, they've talked to people inside Faraday Future and who have left that say shit's going down and it's getting ugly quick. I almost wonder why they're going through with this charade at CES, and my guess is because CES won't refund their money and they've already spent it. So what the hell?
You're right.
May as well put on a show.
Or maybe it'll be what they need to get another investor.
Yeah, right. They'll just bring another one from China.
Yeah, I'm just like, who is there a sucker big enough for that? I mean,
Nope.
Here's the problem, and even the Jalopnik article argues this or posts this, is this that people from the inside who know have said, and I've heard this from a source I can't name, that what Faraday's actually producing is legit, and the people that are doing it are doing some good engineering work on it. There may be a legit product back there. The problem is it's been buried in so much layers of crap and so much waste that we're not really sure if it's ever going to see the light of day.
And they have CES in next month. In a month.
In a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
in a week. Okay, yeah. So we're going to hopefully see something, and hopefully it's not going to be styrofoam.
Again.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, I mean, that is the question. What are they going to show? We've seen it racing things and stuff. And again, I don't think no one questions you can't build a very fast electric car. I mean, it's 2016 at this point. I think we've made that case that electric cars are really fast. And if you build a really, really fast one, it's really, really fast.
Mhm.
The question is, can you build a car that sells and that you can make a profit on?
Yeah, I think CES is going to be the litmus test. And for, I don't know, investors, for the state of Nevada, for anybody, if CES goes poorly for Faraday, then people are going to start pulling whatever remaining money they might have.
It'll be interesting to see what the show's like and what kind of upbeat they're promoting in a week. It will be very interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised when they come out with their vehicle, if it's $250,000 or something very high end like that, they can't compete with Tesla in head to head. So I think they're going to have to go somewhere else, and I don't think they're going to go down into the Volt Model 3 space. I think they're going to go the other way, so that they're trying to attract the McLaren, buyers and that sort, Maserati and others.
Yeah, and I said it, I think last week before, if they're looking to get their feet wet with electric vehicles, they really should have just honestly stayed in China. I mean, where the dude is from, because I just feel that they probably could have done a better job of putting up a factory. They could have done a better job of getting parts and labor. And, right now the Chinese government is really looking at electricity because, well, let's face it, you have a quarter-mile visibility due to smog in some of their primary cities. They could have gotten some really good government help over there. Instead, they come to the U.S., they get all this land in Nevada, and they fail miserably. I just think there could have been a better way to go about it.
Yeah, I think there's no question of that.
Yep.
Hey, Mark, I hear you have some good news.
Have some good news to end the show on. Just recently, an article has been written about the wonderful virtues of solar power. There's been a study performed that they anticipate by 2025 solar power will be selling at possibly 1 cent per kilowatt hour. That is extremely impressive.
I'm going to be going through tires on my Tesla like oh no.
And as the title states, it's almost a infinite and free energy source. Obviously, it's not free, but it's darn close to being free.
I may never turn another light off again.
Well, don't start yet, Tony. But what this article indicates is that with the different utilities and different scales embracing solar, that this could be something that scales and brings down the price as volume ramps up for these utilities and these providers of electricity. So we have been watching solar prices drop for some period now, and it's actually been able to drop by 50%, 75% over 10, 15, 20 years. But now they think it's going to accelerate even more. So very, very interesting, very positive, and more power to it. I certainly am looking forward to this prediction coming true.
Absolutely. That's a great prediction and a great story. Thank you, Mr. Coughlin, for ending us on a high note rather than just us being mean to Faraday Future again. Because it's so easy to kick the stupid kid that talks. So on that pleasant note, let's start with Mark. Why don't you start out with our shout outs and we'll go home.
Thanks. Just hello to the Waterloo Regional Voltec group, and we're running long, so we'll see you next week.
You can do a whole shout out. OEVA.org, right? I mean, or no, that's Patrick. I'm sorry. At WR Voltec on Twitter.
There we go. Yep, right. That'll do.
There we go. Patrick.
I'm going to give a shout out to AC/DC here.
Right.
Tesla and Edison. Yeah. And as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, all over the place. That's it for me.
That's beautiful. Tony Schaefer.
Well, I do want to give a shout out of, we mentioned earlier, of course, Princess Leia and her mom, Debbie Reynolds. If you have not, and I'm constantly surprised at how many people have not seen the movie Singing in the Rain. Yes, it's a musical. Yes, it's decades old. It is such a good movie on many levels. Some of the best, 2-minute, 3-minute, one camera angle, one shot scenes. Some of the best choreographed dance, routines ever. You just have to watch it. It's funny. You watch that movie. Debbie Reynolds is great. As usual, giving some shout outs for our Facebook page, What Drives, facebook.com/What Drives Us. So shout outs to Kelly Darby Gilbert and Eric Torstensen, Lynn Mason. I know I'm going to get this wrong. Fodoc Beat. Sorry, that's the best I got. Fodoc Beat. There you go. Mitch Woolrich and Eric Stevens. Some people who've interacted with us over the last week. And I just want to say, keep it coming. We love interacting with you. I always look forward to when I'm on Facebook and it says, What Drives Us has new notifications. I go in and see what you were all talking about.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you, Tony Schaefer. And yeah, facebook.com/What Drives Us. Our main site, whatdrives.us. You can download or stream the show in video or audio format every week. And because Danny fixed the site, thank you, Mr. Cooper. The show and last week's show will be up there very soon in video and audio format. Your choice. Listen to it however you like. We're good as long as you listen to it. If you do listen to it through one of the streaming services, do us a favor and leave us a review. We appreciate it very much. Let's see what else. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring. It's not this stuff talking, kids. I swear. I want to thank Michael Manring for our theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. If you have a Prius and you need accessories, go to the Prius Chat shop. That's priuschat.com/shop. Danny Cooper needs the money desperately, even though he won't come on the show anymore because he hates me.
No, he hates all of us.
Alcohol's a depressant, isn't it? It's the alcohol. It's the alcohol. Danny, this is your fault. You've driven.
Oh, man.
As always, I want to thank my panelists for coming on the last show of Evil 2016. Mr. Patrick Connor, Mr. Tony Schaefer, Mr. Mark Coughlin, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's been a crazy year.
You are so welcome. And Patrick.
And Happy New Year to our listeners as well. Let's get into
Happy New Year.
2017.
Absolutely. I hope everyone has a very, very safe, please do something safe this New Year's, okay? We don't need to add any new names to the list on this side of 2016, or even for that matter, start 2017. We don't have enough listeners to lose. Well, there's losers to lose too. Actually, we could lose the losers and keep the listeners. Can we do that?
I think so.
Yeah. So do be safe this New Year. Have a good New Year. This is the last time you're going to talk to us this year. You're going to hear from us. So until then, tune in next week. Tune in next year.
Next
and
year.
find out what drives us.